The gerrymandering is actually one of the weirdest things because the gerrymandering is actually determined by within the district. So our local voting is what helps determine that. So I forget the exact controller's department, if I'm not mistaken, but it's a subset of the census information and the controller department that draws those lines for us. So like we need to focus on like our local officials just as much as we focus on that bigger problem. But there's been legislation on the table to change electoral college and change the way gerrymandering works, but both parties aren't really pushing it. You don't really hear one party or another talk about gerrymandering at all. When's the last time you heard somebody talk about gerrymandering on TV? Like almost never, right?
Yeah, you don't hear about it a lot on TV, but over the last, I'd say, eight years, like the whole talk about kind of changing up the electoral college has been really popular topic. Even this past year in 2016, something that I was going to kind of highlight is that also once the comptroller office and your local districts are doing the gerrymandering, it has to be approved by the governor. So you kind of highlighted what I was going to talk about when it comes to kind of your local voting and making sure you're getting out and voting for your local officials and the people that you want to see put in the office. Um, I think that the most important election this year isn't even the presidential election in my eyes. The most important election to me is going to be what happens in the Senate, because if we were to put Biden in office, but the Senate is still, controlled by the Republicans, a lot of the things that we're wanting to see change still won't happen. So I think that we've got to make a big effort to really, not just kind of motivate everyone to get out and vote. And I mean, Texas isn't one of those that I can see big change happening, but we are making some leeway when it comes to MG Hager and versus Cornyn. John Cornyn's a good old boy, has been backing Trump. But what I've started to notice a lot is a lot of these Republican senators are trying to separate themselves from Trump because they see what's happening and what he's doing to damage himself and what's going on in this election. So, we've got Lindsey Graham, who's in a tight election race, who's basically Trump's puppet here lately. There's a black individual, and I hate that I can't remember his name, but he's actually raised the most money out of any Senate district race ever. So he's got a good chance of kind of competing against Lindsey Graham. So some of these big Senate races are what we really need to highlight and put a lot of focus around. And we can only do what we can in our own state, but just keep that in mind when you do go to the poll and realize what your Senate offices can really control if you make the right decisions.
Yeah,
Hey, you know what?
vote Democrat and just pray.
In faith of not repeating everything Jamie just said, man, Jamie hit the hammer, hit the nail right on whatever you call it, man.
Jamie gave me the hammer.
Fool me once, shame on you.
Right.
Don't get fooled again.
Don't get fooled.
It really boils down to me getting off my ass and walking down there or taking that trip to the poll and punching those buttons because of all the people that have done it before me and of what they had to do just to be able to do it. So that's really why I get up and vote.